Hi, Shalom. Hi, everybody. Hi, Adrian. How are you guys? Okay, so this is amazing. This is a great privilege to me, and I'm very, very happy to be with you today, speaking to you from Jerusalem. First, I want to send, I can't see your faces, it's hard for me, but I want to send a huge hug to all of you people that I've guided in the past, and to all of you that are watching me now, a big hug. So yes, my name is Ayala ben Yosef, and I'm born and raised in Israel. And in the last 25 years, I had this amazing privilege to guide people from all over the world and show them our amazing country. And I was invited here to give you a virtual tour of Israel. Anything I want to talk about, any place that I want to take you, and that was really, really hard for me to decide. That's the truth, because there's so many places in this country worth telling about, worth visiting. Israel is such a small, tiny place on the globe. It's in the size of New Jersey. You can cross Israel from north to south in 7 hours in the car. And if we're talking about crossing it east-west from Tel Aviv to Jordan, it takes you less than an hour and a half. Can you believe that? This is how big is our country. And yet, such a diversity, such beauty, so many interesting places in this tiny little place of ours. We have snowy mountains, and we have beautiful deserts and some of the best beaches in the world. We have the lowest place on earth. We have craters, natural craters in the Negev, and corals under the Sea of Eilat. What can I tell you? It was very hard for me to decide where to take you guys today. So I thought about it a little bit, and I have decided to take you to my favorite places in Israel, the places that inspired me in the deepest way. I was inspired from their beauty, from the story behind them, from the secrets that were found under the ground there. And since they have inspired me, I kind of hope that they're going to inspire you too. So I'm going to take you to 3 places. All of them are in the area of Jerusalem, and all of them are kind of off the beaten path. I'm not going to take you to Masada today, or to Caesarea, or even to the Jewish Quarter, and all these places that I really love taking people to. But not today. Today, we are going to discover the secrets. We're going to discover those places in the sides of the road, those pearls and jewels that we never get to see. And I want to share with you the reason why I chose to do that today. Because I kind of feel that this is exactly what is happening to us right now. That without we didn't choose this, but in these times, where all of us are kind of taken off from our main trail, our main road in our lives. And it's very, very hard. It's very hard for us here, and I'm sure it's very hard for you guys also. And yet, when this is happening to us, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to visit those places in our souls, in our houses, in our relationships, and to find the treasures that are waiting there for us. So with that, I'm just taking you. Let's go. Are you ready to go? Let's go. Or as we say in Israel, Yalla, which is not really Hebrew, it's Arabic, but whatever. So the first place I want to take you is to the ancient city of Sussia. I'm taking you actually an hour drive south from Jerusalem to a beautiful place, a place of mountains, the Judean mountains, where 50 years ago exactly, 1970, 2 archaeologists are walking right there, and in a bare field, they find a head of a pillar just, left over the ground. And they decide to start digging a little bit. And this whole thing, they start a whole excavation. In that excavation, they simply find an entire Jewish city underground. I want you to see this. Where should I move? Unbelievable. An entire city. What does it mean to find an entire city? It means that you find its streets, and you find its houses, and you find water cisterns and pits, and you find an escape tunnel that these people built in order to escape from their enemies if something happens. But what does it mean to find a Jewish city? To find a Jewish city means to find all this, but also to find holes in every second house in the entrance to put the mezuzah. Really, that's what was found. They found menorahs carved on the walls of the people. Menorah, the sign, the symbol, the true symbol of the Jewish nation. And they found over 30 mikvahs, ritual baths that the people dug for their community. Unbelievable. A community living on the edge of the desert, collecting the water for 30 mikvahs. But of course, the peak of the excavation was the synagogue. And I want to step with you into the synagogue for a second, the ancient synagogue of Sussia, and see the amazing mosaic that was found there. Let's stop for a second and talk about finding ancient synagogues in Israel. First of all, what is a synagogue? A synagogue is actually a concept that we know from after the temple was destroyed. When the temple was destroyed 2,000 years ago, there was this hole that was opened up in the heart of the Jewish nation. And our leaders, our intelligent, sensitive leaders, ordered us to build these small places, these small temples that we call synagogue. You guys are actually calling it a temple, mikdash me'at. Places that we could connect to each other, that we could pray together, that we could find comfort. Places that will be the heart of our communities. In these days that we cannot visit our synagogues, I'm sure that you feel, what is it, your synagogue for you? What is your synagogue for your community? So all these places, they were facing Jerusalem. We are praying to Jerusalem, so the people will never forget the true heart and the true core of Israel. So in Israel, we found over 100 ancient synagogues, big synagogue, small synagogue, but truly the synagogue of Sussia is one of the biggest, most beautiful synagogues in the entire country. Let's move to this and take a look at these symbols, the menorah. Do you recognize this? The shofar. Okay, this is very difficult. The shofar. What do you think you're seeing at the other side? There, okay. 4 species, the 4 species of Sukkot, right? The etrog in yellow and the lulav and everything. This is truly amazing. I want to show you another thing that was found in the synagogue, and these are inscriptions in Hebrew. If you guys know the alphabet, the Aleph Bet, you can, when you visit Sussia, you can read it with your kids. Let's try. Let's just try for a second. The end of this inscription. What do you see at the end? Shalom. Do you see the word shalom? Shalom al Israel. Amen. Unbelievable. So, by the way, there's a lot of things you can do with kids in Sussia. You could go through that escape tunnel and to draw water from the water pits. And now I would really like to share with you how Sussia came into my life. I discovered Sussia when I was 18 years old. This is a little bit personal. You know what we do here when we get to be 18? We graduate and we do the army. Either we do the army or we do something that is called national service. I chose to do national service, and I was serving right next to Sussia in a field school. It's like an information center, and I had the best 2 years of my life. A lot of us do during our service. Think about it, a girl from Tel Aviv, 18 years old, going to live with other girls in the outskirts of Israel, learning all this history, traveling, walking in nature. This opened up a whole world for me. And, so much responsibility. I was guiding people. I'm a leader. Who gives an 18-year-old to take you like 3 days in the desert? So this was very meaningful for me. And I want to share with you one moment during these 2 years that was very significant to me and happened right there in that synagogue. So me and some of my colleagues, one day we decided on Friday to go and to do the Shabbat service in the ancient synagogue. So picture this, okay, for 1 second. We're walking in our Shabbat clothes. We're walking in that ancient city. We get to the synagogue. We took our shoes off not to harm the mosaic, and we go in. We go into the synagogue. And here it is. And we sit on the benches and we start singing Lecha Dodi. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. And then it hit me. It hit me, that understanding that I'm standing in a 1700-year-old synagogue, praying in Hebrew, singing Shabbat song, exactly like the people of Sussia, my ancestors, were doing and singing and praying every Shabbat. And through my bare feet on that mosaic, I felt that connection. And I think that on that Shabbat prayer in Sussia, in the ancient synagogue, my spiritual journey started. A spiritual journey that is continuing till today. Sussia, what a present. So I'm taking you now to our next place in Israel. Ein Prat. Have you heard of Ein Prat? If I need to define Ein Prat in a sentence, this is a piece of heaven. It's a piece of heaven that lies 15 minutes, even 10 minutes away from Jerusalem on your way to the Dead Sea. Okay? It's an oasis. You're in the middle of the desert of Judea, and suddenly, from out of nowhere, there's water, lots of water. Winter, summer, it keeps going and going and going, all these waters. So if you ever heard of En Gedi, and you probably did, I would say that Ein Prat is it's like a mini En Gedi. It's smaller, but it's not less impressive, and definitely closer to Jerusalem. So if you don't have the time to schlep all the way to En Gedi, an hour and a half drive, then you can definitely go to Ein Prat. It's really worth a visit. So the scenery of Ein Prat, it's the scenery of the cliffs of the Kelt Valley. It's very, very dramatic. You can see it in a minute behind me. Also, it's very dramatic. What you see right now is the contrast between the yellow of the desert and the green of the water, okay? So this is something very, very beautiful and very impressive. Look at these cliffs. Look at this beauty. So, sometimes, you're thinking about it, where to go. This is definitely a wonderful place to go. Today, it's a nature reserve. It's a national park. So you can actually go, pay a ticket, go in. You can hike. There's so many places to hike there. You can do rock climbing. You can just dip into those waters, and you can do something that I love doing with my kids. Just put your legs in the water and wait 30 seconds, and you're getting this free pedicure from all those fish that come and eat your feet. And this is so much fun. It's a lot of fun. And a lot of people are asking me when we get to these places, they ask me, how does that miracle happen? How is it that you can find water in the middle of the desert? How is that possible? So this miracle happens, this is a little explanation. It doesn't rain in the desert of Judea. It really doesn't rain. Few days a year, maybe. But in Jerusalem, it does rain in the mountains. And what happens is that when it rains in Jerusalem, the water sip into the ground, go through the cracks, get filtered, get all those minerals, and then, like you see in the drawing behind me, suddenly they stop. They get to a different rock, not cracked, and they stop. Now, they could stay there, but they could also move on the rocks, and if something happens and the scenery opens up because there's a canyon or something, then these water come out. Now, this could happen anywhere. They can come out, a spring can come out in the middle of a forest. It can come in the middle of a desert. Now, when it comes in the middle of the forest, like in the north or something, then, I mean, it's great. It's really nice, okay? But it's not that there wasn't water there before. It's next to a lake, in a forest, next to a stream. When water comes out in the middle of the desert, the impact on the surrounding is unbelievable. Yeah, there's a huge impact in a place where every creature is struggling for every drop of water and every piece of shade. A spring in a desert is it's actually the difference between life and death. Okay, so when you go to Ein Prat, when you go to water in the desert, you could almost hear the gratitude of all the creatures around it, all the animals, all the vegetation. You could almost feel those circles of joy that this brings to the entire ecological system. And I have to tell you that for people also, when you know, I can tell you one thing about me. I think I've entered and I dipped into every single water source in Israel, okay? North or south, doesn't matter. But I will never forget that first time that I went into a spring in a desert after walking 8 hours in the boiling sun. That was the first time that I really understood when I got into those waters, what is water? How precious our water. I remember the burst of life, of happiness, of gratitude. It's a miracle. And you know something? When I'm talking about it, and it really reminds me of what is going on now in the world. I feel that right now we're facing a desert also, an economical desert, a social desert, a human desert. It's like we had everything going on, right? All our businesses and our plans and our family and our fun and restaurants and shopping and all this. And suddenly, poof, it's like all ended. That's it, a desert. But in the silence of this desert, suddenly you can hear, I can hear, what do I really, really miss? I want to ask you for a second, what do you guys really miss now in this crazy reality? Okay, just take a moment for yourself and ask yourself, what are the 3 things that you really miss, you really want? So sorry, I can't hear you or hear your thoughts. I miss seeing my parents. I miss hugging my best friend. I miss touching people. And I think that only in these times, when all the noise is gone, you can really understand what are these things that are essential to your life, that makes you really happy, that really makes you happy. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. On the contrary, you find out that there are very small things. Small like a drop of water in the desert, like a little pool in the middle of nowhere. This is what Ein Prat taught me. This is what my journeys in the desert had taught me. And my personal story of Ein Prat, how I got there, is that when I finished my service, I went to South America like everybody else, you know, tracking and everything. And when I came back, I heard of a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, Yael. She moved into a deserted house somewhere in nature. So of course I was so curious. A week after I came back, I went to visit her, and that was Ein Prat. It didn't end the visit. You probably understand that. 2 days after, I came back with a bag and I moved to Ein Prat. And I spent the whole year of my life there. We went into those waters and we hiked those mountains. And the night before I got married, you're looking at my mikveh right now. Ein Prat. What a gift. Guys, we're getting to the last place that I want to take you to Jerusalem. Of course, Jerusalem, the heart of the Jewish nation, the holiest place in the world, a place of inspiration for millions of people all over the world. You know what I'm talking about, right? You walked through that old city, you saw the Jewish quarter, you went down those stairs to the Western Wall. But I'm not going to take you there. No, not today, because today we're discovering the unknown. Today we're going to those places that we never got to see. So come with me, walk with me out of the dung gate. And we're walking 5 minutes, only 5 minutes walk from the Western Wall, and we're getting to one of the most beautiful places in Jerusalem, the hand of Avshalom. The hand of Avshalom. The hand of Avshalom, Yad Avshalom, like Yad Vashem. You walk to the Kidron Valley, and then you see these monuments, amazing monuments, huge monuments carved in the rock. The legend says that these are the graves of the ancient kings of Jerusalem. That even King David's son himself, Absalom, this beautiful boy that was famous for its beautiful hair, was buried right there. But is that true? I'm going to leave you with that question open, and with an open invitation also to go and visit Yad Avshalom, because there's one more place that I would like to take you to, and that's the city of David. You might say, hey, we know the city of David. It's not off the beaten path, okay? Yes, now you know the city of David, but have you heard of the city of David 20 years ago? I'm not that sure, okay? Let's go in and see what we're talking about. So the city of David is actually the biblical Jerusalem. It's the place where everything started. It's the place where when you open up Tanakh, when you open up the Bible, and you see more than 600 times the name Jerusalem, this is the Jerusalem that we're talking about, not the old city. Yes, the oldest part of Jerusalem is outside of the old city, and that's the city of David. Place of excavations, an amazing national park. Okay, you can walk through the water of the Gihon Spring in the Hezekiah Tunnel. You can do a lot of things in the city of David, but what is very special in the city of David, it's that you're walking in the scenery of Tanakh. You're walking in the scenery of those stories that you know from childhood. And the first time that I went to the city of David was 20 years ago, and there was a visitor center. It was a wooden cabin, and we had this amazing team of 3 guides. Today there's like 300, and you know what we were doing all day long? We were drinking coffee after coffee, waiting for people to come, but nobody came. Nobody came because people were afraid, because it's Eastern Jerusalem. It's the dark side of the moon, okay? It's dangerous, okay? And it didn't help them that it's 5 minutes from the Western Wall. It didn't help them to know that this is the capital of Israel. But thank God for people that were not afraid, for people that invested their lives in the city of David and their money. I'm not talking about myself, of course. Today, the city of David is it's the 5th most visited place in the country. There's so many excavations in the city of David, so many treasures that are being found. And in the last 20 years, I got to witness a national treasure being uncovered. This was so amazing. I saw history happening. We found treasures of gold and emeralds and diamonds and pearls. But I just want to take you to one small little finding that was very crucial in my growth. This is my special thing in the city of David. And do you know what this is behind me, right? These are seals. In Europe, they were done like that, with red wax. Thank God in Israel, people were signing their names, not on wax, but on clay. Why am I saying thank God? Because wax melts, and Jerusalem was burnt over 40 times in the last 4,000 years. So, you know what happens to clay when it gets burnt? It hardens, and this is how we had the privilege to find treasures of seals. Yes, ancient seals carrying names of people. But the true amazing thing is that some of these names we actually knew. Where did we know it from? We knew it from Tanakh. We knew it from the Bible. I'm talking about a little thing. It's in the size of my fingernail. But it's a proof to the existence of people that are mentioned in the Tanakh, in the Bible. For me, this was a theological shock. Because I don't know if I mentioned it before, I'm coming from a secular family in Tel Aviv. And my grandfather was a communist, and my father used to tell me that the Tanakh, the Bible, is Babemaises. You know what Babemaises? I know I don't look like somebody that understands Yiddish. I have roots in Yemen that are very, very aggressive, intensive, but I'm mostly German and Polish. And my father used to tell me it's Babemaises. It's fairy tales. It's Granny's story. He used to explain it to me. He said, Ayala, people need stories. So the Greeks made their own story. It's called Greek mythology. And the Egyptian made their own story. That's the Egyptian mythology. And the Jews made their own story. And that's the Bible. So if there's one thing that I've learned in the city of David is that these are not just stories. This is real, okay? And that I should take my history and my heritage very, very seriously. This was a theological shock, okay? So for me, this teaching was very, very crucial, okay? That these stories are true. We are indeed a part of this amazing history of the Jewish nation. And we have the privilege and the responsibility to pass this heritage on to our children and to the next generation. City of David, another amazing present in my life. So dear friends, our little journey together is coming to its end. But I want to finish this by telling you and to inspire you to continue your story. And want to go a little bit forward with all these amazing seals and come to an end to this tree. The Jewish tree is all over the globe. It's your life and your journey. It's my journey. We're spread all over in so many communities, and it's your fruits, your flowers. We're all a part of this tree, a part of this one family. But the roots of this tree, this amazing tree, they are here. They're here in Israel. And we should all remember that. Some of them are still uncovered. Some of them we already uncovered. But this amazing roots that we have here are what's holding this tree of the Jewish world. I want to thank you all. I want to bless you, send a blessing to you from the land of Israel, blessing of health and wishes of physical health and emotional health and happiness and prosperity and tikva, hope and growth, a lot of growth through these life-changing times